Yo, what's good, YouTube? And welcome to Shoot It Straight 2. This is the first episode of Shoot It Straight, the second channel. And obviously, if you're coming from the original channel, you know what this is going to be pretty much the American sports side of Shoot It Straight. You know, before we had it all on one channel, but now we're going to go ahead and separate European football and then American sports and have it on two separate channels so that, we can keep the two diversified because it is pretty diverse.
Yeah, make it a little bit more digestible for the people.
So we're pretty much going to roll into this just like any other podcast talking about the American sports and obviously the NFL. We're just going to go straight into it. I think, without further ado, no beating around the bush. I mean,
Right into the meat of things.
There ain't no subscribers to thank or anything like that. This is the first video. So look, NFC Championship game is this weekend, and I'm going to go ahead and bring on a friend of the channel, a coworker of G's, Xavier, onto the channel. And this is a diehard Eagles fan. And the Eagles obviously playing this weekend, playing the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. And I'm going to go ahead and pass this one off to you, Xavier, first. What do you think about this matchup? And ultimately, give your thoughts on who will win this matchup.
So first and foremost, I got my pick, the Philadelphia Eagles. I ain't gonna lie, I watched the Cowboys game versus 49ers and all that. And, I have faith in my Eagles to win it out, but I feel like it's going to be a very tough game. I feel like it might be a low-scoring game just because how the Cowboys and Eagles ended up coming out. Reason I really got my pick as the Eagles is because when they played against the Dallas played against Brock Purdy, that defense was able to neutralize them in a way. And that offense is just around when they started hitting the running game around like late third, fourth quarter, started like wearing them out little by little. Then, if Dak made a couple good passes in the clutch, we'd be talking about like a different segment right now. But the Eagles, Jalen Hurts is a dog. A.J. Brown, definitely a dog. Devontae Smith, a dog. My offensive line, they're physical as hell.
You think that offensive line can stop that rush from the
line?
49ers?
Yeah.
Look at Nick Bosa is great. He's an amazing player. I ain't gonna lie. But we got Lane Johnson. We got a bunch of good guys back there. If Cowboys were able to kind of neutralize Nick Bosa in that game because I watched it.
Well, to be fair, the Cowboys had a good offensive line as well. I mean, they have about 3 Hall of Famers in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but my offense line is my offense line is better. It's a little better than the Cowboys. It's a little better.
That's not too much to give you. But yeah, obviously, Zach has picked the 49ers to win the entire Super Bowl, and mine was the only one. I was sitting on the fence a little bit about this one, but I am leaning with the 49ers a little bit more. They have the best defense in the league, and I think they have one of the most adaptable offenses. I mean, it's one of an offense that it's hard to deal with because me and Xavier have talked a lot off camera, and I posed them question, who's going to stop Debo? And obviously, the Eagles are well equipped to possibly deal with Debo well, but when you have Debo, then you have to deal with Kittle, because then everybody seems to forget about Kittle because he's had a bit of a down season, but he just lights it up where he just turns it on against the Cowboys.
And ever since Brock Purdy came in, he's been rebirthed. He's turned into that old Kittle. Brock Purdy has brought Kittle back. I mean,
and I didn't even mention Ayuk and and obviously Christian McCaffrey. But I think one of the things you were posing to me more was that you have a lot of faith in the Eagles' rush against this 49ers defense. What makes you believe that?
So look, we got a 3-headed monster. Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders. I forgot that guy's name. I think Gainwell, whatever his name is. The running back when they played against the Giants. I forgot his name. I ain't gonna lie, but he rushed for.
I forgot his name too, to be fair, but
he rushed for 100-something yards. Those three combined, I seen the whole Giants game. Mine, the Giants is not the same defense as 49ers.
It's not. Yeah, I mean, it's safe to say. It's safe to say that.
But they still had a good rushing attack, especially because they ended up getting Leonard Williams back, and they had Dexter Lawrence there too. So those two guys in the interior, they're pretty good at stopping and run. But when I was watching the Giants game, I was like, okay, every time Jalen Hurts would go out the pocket, it would pose a threat because is he gonna run or if he's gonna pass? So every time that ended up happening, it opened up the gates for like Miles Sanders and Gainwell to go ahead and rush for a bunch of yards.
The only problem I feel in that though is that Jalen Hurts is still somewhat still coming off an injury. I don't know if they really want to be risking him having that many rushing, especially against this type of physical defense the 49ers pose.
I think
I
with
mean,
that, I mean, I don't think look, obviously you don't want your quarterback to get injured, but there isn't much.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to win this game. I mean, I don't think there's
Right.
you're not avoiding rushing with Jalen Hurts to save him. What are you saving him for? If you lose this game, you're
the
going into
Super
the
Bowl.
offseason.
Exactly. There's a point.
So I don't think that's going to be a factor. I think that Jalen Hurts is I mean, it's a lingering injury. I mean, he's not 100%, but nobody's 100% at this point in the NFL season. I mean, everyone's got a few nicks and bruises. I mean, Mahomes, he's over here limping around. I mean, everyone is injured at this point in the season.
At a certain,
So,
yeah, I do believe that as well. Yeah, but you thought it was going to be a low scoring game. So if you were to just guess or guess what the score would be, what are you feeling?
I'm feeling. I'll say the Eagles win by a touch. I'll say 27-20.
ooh,
27-20. That's not that low scoring. That's pretty.
that's
that's
mid scoring. That's
mid scoring. But I mean, while I did want to ask you when I have you here, what do you have to say to a lot of people that say the Eagles are fraudulent, that they haven't really played any legit teams this season, that realistically you guys beat the New York Football Giants and now you're playing arguably the best team in the league?
Listen, what I gotta say is that I understand. I've seen the schedule. We didn't play a lot of great teams like that.
I didn't see you guys didn't play the Chiefs.
Did
you guys even play the Bengals? I mean, who did you guys really play?
Still to be 14-1 is not easy. It's not easy either. Be 14-1. Mind that with the Giants, they playing against the Vikings, and Vikings was a 13-3 team. They're still good.
Well, the Vikings are fraudulent.
They had
they're open frauds. They might as well have come out of frauds.
They had already one of the best wide receivers in the game, Justin Jefferson.
You can't deny that, but I mean,
they still couldn't do nothing.
That's a whole different thing we were talking about. I think Justin Jefferson doesn't play in huge games, but that's just depending on almost the whole Vikings team. I mean, when rubber met the road, they folded.
Yeah, but what this game against the Giants showed me, we got two dogs in the outside, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. 49ers, one of their their interior defense, and Fred Warner with the linebackers, it's great. It's going to be hard to keep catching slant routes and all that inside there. But their secondary is not the best secondary.
That is the one thing I would agree.
With that.
That's the weakest part in their defense.
But I agree with that.
It's still the number one rated defense in the league.
Yeah, because mostly
to play devil's advocate, the 49ers do tend to give up one or two big plays. I mean, we saw it in the Cowboys game where that one deep ball to CD, if it wasn't to Dak, like you said, Dak's inconsistency, it could be a different game. But I rate the Cowboys very somewhat highly. I think that game was very contentious. If it wasn't to like one of the worst performances of all time from Dak Prescott, like you said, we could be having a different conversation. But
and also,
I mean, the Cowboys beat y'all, so I mean, what is?
But we beat them once and they beat us once. But we didn't have Jalen Hurts, to be fair.
And they didn't have Dak the first time either. So
I mean, that's fine,
maybe that's a good thing.
I don't think we saw a legit Eagles-Cowboys matchup the whole season. We still haven't gotten that,
We still, we didn't.
We don't why?
Next season.
Because of Dak. Dak Prescott sucks.
I think it's safe to say, Dak.
That's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, but Zach, what is your score prediction for this game?
Well, I think I'll wait. I'll hold off on the score prediction until I analyze this here because I understand what you're saying about the 49ers and the Eagles here. And I think that this game for me, it comes down to the matchup between the Eagles wide receivers and the Niners secondary. I think that's what this game comes down to because when you look at these rosters position by position, it's pretty much neck and neck the whole way through. I mean, defensive line, both teams have great, linebackers, both teams are pretty good. I would say the one position where you can say the Eagles have a clear advantage, the Eagles have a significantly better secondary. I mean, they got Darius Slay, and then for the Niners, they don't really have that guy, that top guy that is comparable to that. I still think that with the Niners' weapons, that they will be able to do enough. And ultimately, I trust Brock Purdy. I trust Brock Purdy to get it done. I trust Brock Purdy.
I like Brock.
I think that these teams are so well evenly matched. The only thing you could say that is a big, significant difference, because even the secondaries, I mean, the Eagles have a better one, but it's not by, night and day. But you can say that Jalen Hurts is night and day a better quarterback than Brock Purdy on paper. I think you could say that. I mean, Brock Purdy coming into this season, we didn't even know who he was. 2 months ago, we didn't even know who Brock Purdy was. Let's be honest. So I think a lot of people are not trusting him in these big games. I mean, I've seen people say that this is the game that he finally makes those mistakes, that he finally throws 3 interceptions. And I don't buy it. We have seen him just play arguably a tougher defense in the Dallas Cowboys, and he didn't make those mistakes. Was it perfect? No, it wasn't a perfect game. It definitely was not a perfect game. I mean, they only scored 19 points, but that was enough to get the job done. But the killer here is that he didn't make those mistakes. He didn't throw picks. He didn't fumble the football. That's what you see. This game is going to come down to who makes the least amount of mistakes. And I don't see Brock Purdy making the mistakes. And I definitely don't see guys like Christian McCaffrey making mistakes and Kyle Shanahan on coach. I don't see him making a mistake. I trust the 49ers in their coaching staff and on the field more than I trust the Eagles. And I think it's going to be a close game, but give me the Niners 24-21.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean, to speak on that, it's most of the same points. I just think this 49ers offense will be too much to handle. It's just too dynamic to me. I mean, these guys have one of the best players in each position. I mean, Debo can literally do anything. Ayuk is one of the better, like to have him as a second, 2A to, Debo's 1A. It's just, it's almost unfair. And to have Kittle, just a guy you can just unleash out of nowhere, and then Christian McCaffrey, who fits this offense like a glove.
Oh my! I mean, that's the best trade
because
of this
when
NFL
we
season.
talked about it originally, we were like, who won this trade? Well, it's almost kind of clear now who's won the trade because
and
he's been able to stay.
At the time, you said the Panthers.
At the time, I said the Panthers because I did not expect Christian McCaffrey to be able to stay healthy, but he's found a way to somehow do it. And Brock Purdy's made this team better. This team is better than what it was even when it had Jimmy Garoppolo. And I think they're better off because let's face the fact. I think if Jimmy Garoppolo plays, we've seen him in big games, he turns into Jimmy Gag. He chokes in big games.
I think he would have made the mistakes that Brock Purdy didn't make against Dallas.
I think he would. Like, I think the upside of Jimmy Garoppolo is higher, but he has a big dip to where he can throw 2 interceptions and cost you a game. But Brock Purdy is more of a middle level-headed type of guy, even though he's so young. And I saw a stat that I think rookie quarterbacks are 0-4 when they make the NFC championship games.
Mm-hmm.
And I have Brock Purdy breaking that. I haven't been the first rookie quarterback to win a championship game and go into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, look, I 100% agree with that. Obviously, I think that one stat I would like to point out here. You talked to Xavier talked about the Eagles' 3-headed rushing attack, and obviously that's what the Eagles. That's their bread and butter. They need to run the football effectively, and that opens up the passing game. That opens up opportunities for AJ Brown and Devonta Smith down the field with that monster arm that Jalen Hurts has. But the 49ers, their strength on defense is the rush. They are number 2 in opponent rush yards per game this season. And that's on top of the fact that they already have the number 1 overall ranked defense. So their strong suit is the run. I don't think they're going to let the Eagles get into their rhythm. And that's going to ultimately harm them in the passing game. We're going to see a couple 3-and-outs. And like you give the 49ers too many opportunities, they're going to take advantage eventually. They got too many weapons. I don't care. You hate on Brock Purdy. You like Brock Purdy. With these weapons, it doesn't matter who you got. You give them too many opportunities, eventually they're going to take advantage.
Eventually,
It's inevitable.
But that is true. I will be actually at his house watching this game with him because I told him I want to see the life fall from those eagle eyes and see the Eagles cry.
Cry.
We're not seeing the Eagles in another Super Bowl. I don't think the States could stand it.
I want to hear this.
The only thing I'm kind of understanding is like, okay, the Cowboys' interior defense was good, but I mean the Eagles and Cowboys' defense is almost on par, and I think the Eagles' defense is kind of better. Even though they got a Michael Parsons, stuff like and Lawrence and all that, but
11 from heaven.
But we have 70 sacks in the season. Not a lot of teams done that.
Okay, but
get the quarterback.
So the Eagles' defense, even if it is marginally better, we just saw Brock Purdy perform good enough to get the job done.
Don't get me
wrong, he did, but there was chances in that game like Trayvon
Diggs dropped
a clear interception.
If he didn't drop that ball, I mean, game could have gone different ways. The defense played outstanding in my opinion. The thing is that Dak Prescott couldn't capitalize. If he would have capitalized on those plays, 49ers be at home right
So,
now. We talk
yeah,
about
so
Eagles versus Cowboys.
basically what you're saying is that if Jalen Hurts was in that thing, that he'd
Yes.
capitalize on those. And
But also
I
the
do,
Cowboys and Eagles, they play different styles of football,
they do
so it's
play
kind
different
of
style.
like the Cowboys
Yeah,
are definitely a more pass-oriented team than the Eagles are.
and they had to because Tony Pollard went out
Exactly,
injured.
because Tony Pollard was injured. Yeah.
But also, I think another thing that has to be remembered that the 49ers, we talk about how much the 49ers have the best almost in fucking everything, but they have the best offensive line. What they are best at is protecting Brock Purdy. They can protect Brock Purdy very, very well. And I mean, they were able to protect them pretty good from Micah Parsons, a guy who's one of the best at getting to the quarterback. And I think what went wrong, I mean, this is almost different talk about the Cowboys game. What went wrong is that they misused Micah Parsons, but literally, I don't think the Eagles have someone on that team that can get to the quarterback like Micah can. And they were able, the 49ers were able to, nullify that to a certain extent.
And if the Eagles aren't able to create pressure moments, whether it's forcing Brock Purdy out of the pocket and throwing an interception, or stripping the ball and getting a fumble, or creating some kind of mistake, I don't think that they're going to be able to win this game. They're going to need to create some sort of mistake. Brock Purdy's going to have to make the mistakes that he hasn't made yet in order for the Eagles to win this game, in my opinion. And that's why I'm sticking with the 49ers.
So I think whoever wins the interior offensive line, defensive line, wins the game, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, it's a trenches battle. Yeah,
trenches. Whoever wins that is going to win the game.
That's why I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I mean, this is going to be a true dog fight. This is something. That's why I'm excited for this game, because you don't see matchups like this truly often in the NFL anymore. I mean, this is a true dog fight. It's going to be blows being shed. I mean, it's going to be punch. Who's going to be the last one standing?
I do feel this is like the more like in stone type game that like really prove to most people that the Eagles are legit, because I mean like there's a lot of people that like I said don't believe the Eagles, that their record is somewhat like the Vikings, that it's kind of inflated with gimme wins.
I can kind of see that. I mean, even so far, I mean,
if the Eagles beat the 49ers, like
it would be
that is fully fall out of your seat. Holy shit.
And what I think
this 49ers team is so good.
I think what would make it even more impressive for me is that I don't think the Eagles have played a truly like, look, okay, the Giants they're a good football team, but they're not a great football team. Nowhere near the 49ers. And so obviously the Eagles had a bye before that. I don't think the Eagles have played a truly tough football game in a while.
Because so I'm looking through the schedule right now, and they haven't played
I mean, they had a week off.
The Chiefs, they didn't play the Bills, they haven't played any of those other type of teams. So it's hard to the only really difficult teams they played is the Cowboys and a washed Aaron Rodgers. Like, I mean,
I think to be fair, the Eagles, I mean, we haven't played a defense like the Niners, but I don't think the Niners have played an offense like us. Because to be fair, when they played against Kansas City, they might have Jimmy Garoppolo, but they kind of got smoked against Kansas City. They got smoked, and that's a high-power offense. And they don't have the receivers we do. They had Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce, he's like Greg Kittle, great-ass tight end.
I mean, one of the greatest tight ends of all time.
Yeah,
but to be fair, I think though, if one team is led by Patrick Mahomes, and
I think Mahomes is better.
I think Mahomes is better.
He's better suited to pick apart.
He's better suited, and I do think he's a better quarterback.
I think both. But I mean, like we said, the Eagles, they're a more rush-oriented offense, even with Jalen Hurts when he's 100%.
I feel like with Jalen Hurts, he's gonna be one of the X factors for sure. Because if he's able to move out the pocket, they're gonna have to have somebody there watching him. So
they're gonna have to. I mean, what's a better quarterback spot than Fred Warner?
I mean, yeah, that's true. But the thing that when stuff like that happens, I feel like it's going to open up the passing game, and one of those corners will get picked off.
Yeah, no, it's going to happen.
I mean, they're going to need that one big play. They're going to need it.
I can see AJ Brown catching a long touchdown at one point during this game, but are they going to be able to? That's not going to be consistent.
I just feel like the Eagles got more confident after seeing the Cowboys game, because I feel like Philly fans and everybody believe that Jalen Hurts would have made those passes that Dak should have made, and Niners would be at home right now.
I think that's you can make that argument that Jalen Hurts would have performed better than Dak, but also I don't think that the 49ers are going to play down as much as potentially they did. Look, I don't think they're going to only score 19 points. I mean, that's tough.
That was pretty tough.
I think they're going to perform a little bit better as well.
Comparable defenses, the two. I mean, the Cowboys through this entire season have had one of the better defenses in the league. But yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. It's going to be a very interesting game. Not to ramble on for too long, like trying to close this off. Not to keep you here. I know you actually have to work tomorrow, so I don't want to keep you here forever.
He's
But to
off.
close this out, I did want to ask you just your thoughts quickly on the Bengals and Chiefs. Who do you think is going to win that? Who's in your mind? Who is going to play the Eagles in the Super Bowl?
You know, my heart tells me, you know, Kansas City, but like just by thinking Bengals coming out 3-0 and Patrick Mahomes might be hobbled, I'm taking the Bengals.
Yes, come on, Joe Burrow in Burrowhead. In Burrowhead, he's taking it.
I have to.
That's
because both of y'all are gonna be wrong.
Not nice to hear. We're gonna be watching that. We're gonna be watching that. We're gonna watch that one too. But thank you, Xavier, for coming on. It's nice to have you on. We like having opposite sides, like actual fans of the teams that come on to defend them.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Y'all can expect more of this type of thing on the channel. Trying to get more people that actually support
if
these teams.
the Eagles somehow find a way to make a Super Bowl, we will have you on again so you explain why they can win the Super Bowl. And
it'll be next week.
For the love of the country, I don't think the country or the city of Philadelphia can handle the riots that the Eagles fans throw when they win a Super Bowl. I mean, I remember last time they won, they almost destroyed half the fucking city.
Yeah, and we beat the GOAT Tom Brady. So,
Gio wearing a shirt right now.
He still knows Super Bowls. He knows
he
Super
doesn't.
Bowls
he knows L's to the.
That was literally the greatest game played by a quarterback in the Super Bowl. But we'll talk about
it. Lost back quarterback.
Bill Belichick's defense let them down.
That's the one time I was an Eagles fan.
But we'll let you go.
Oh, I have to appreciate it.
All right, brother.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously, thanks to Xavier for coming on. Obviously, it's good to get a different perspective from an actual Eagles fan, and it's something we want to incorporate more on the channel. Not only this channel, but also the main Shoot It Straight channel.
With everything we have on
every Shoot It Straight entity, we want to be able to get more voices on, more opinions, more everything like that, because I think it adds a good factor to the show. It's something different. Just hearing us, we know look at a certain point, you kind of know what we might say, but when you get it,
a little bit.
When you get I think if anyone has been watching or the NFL content, they kind of know where we're leaning on these two games, obviously, because we both predicted this game to happen. So,
yeah, but let's get right into it, and it's finally confirmed from our predictions that it's set. The Bengals are set to play the Chiefs in Burrowhead. I don't know how they've done it. The Bengals have found a way to get a home playoff game. They've done it, and
they haven't done it.
Else, they've obviously have. They're playing in Burrowhead against Patrick Mahomes. Nope, against Joe Burrow's son. I'm sorry.
Oh my God,
Patrick Mahomes. And this is going to be the statement for Joe Burrow. Back-to-back Super Bowls is what we're going to witness, and this time he will not be coming up short. But let's not overlook this game, because a lot of people want to say that the Bengals are already overlooking the Chiefs. Are they not overlooking the Chiefs? No. They're taking this the same way they did last season. They still have that underdog idea, and there's people that have a problem with that. But to be fair, everybody's going to have a problem with anything. You can never please everybody. But that's just the thing that they take. Yes, Joe Burrow can scream he's him and still think he's the underdog, because how many people are out there saying that he's better than Patrick Mahomes? Not a lot of people, because Patrick Mahomes, to give him credit, is an MVP.
He's the better quarterback.
He's an MVP, and he's won a Super Bowl.
And he's the better quarterback. Hold on, say that he's a better quarterback.
It's Joe. That was what? Those are 2 years ago. When is the last time he won a Super Bowl? 5 years? 7 years? I don't remember.
7 years.
I don't remember the last time he won a Super Bowl. When was that? Like eons ago. But I'm talking about today. I'm talking about what's going to happen Sunday. And that's going to be it's Joe Burrow's time, because he did it last year, and he's done it every single time he's played Patrick Mahomes. He owns Patrick Mahomes. He owns this Chiefs franchise. They can't. This is not, and it's not going to be. I'm not going to come here and say, oh, it's going to be a blowout. But I'm going to say the Bengals are going to do what the Bengals do. This offense is arguably the best offense in the league. I mean, you saw what they did to the Bills. I mean, the Bills are no slouch on defense. That's not a slouch on defense. They're consistently a top 5 defense. And last season they were the number 1 ranked defense. this defense is very good, and Joe Burrow was able to pick them apart in their house, in their backyard, the snow. This is the type of character that this entire team has, and have one of the best big game receivers in the league in Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase did not have the greatest season, regular season, but there's not a better receiver to have in big games because he plays up to them. We saw it against Buffalo, and I think we're going to see it again in Kansas City, in Burrowhead. So I'm going to pass this one back to you, and just I want to hear your more thoughts into this game. What do you think is going to happen? Obviously, I know who you think is going to win, but tell me how do you think it's going to happen after 3-0?
Joe Burrow, obviously, right now is 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes. I hold my hand up. I give him that.
4-0.
Right now, up to this point, Joe Burrow has been superior in the matchups that they've played against each other. It's very true. That's the facts.
He's outplayed Patrick Mahomes.
I admit it. He has outplayed Patrick Mahomes, as well as the Cincinnati Bengals as a team have always consistently outplayed the Chiefs. For some reason, the Chiefs, they have their way with almost everyone in the league, but for some reason, little old Cincinnati, that's the team that they struggle with. That is the team they can't quite get over that hump with. And that's where Sunday comes into play. And that's where this ends. Sunday is when this little fairy tale story about Joe Burrow being better than Patrick Mahomes and all of that finally comes to an end, because it's blasphemy. First of all, I give Joe Burrow a lot of credit, and I think he is truly, truly a special player. He's going to win a Super Bowl, maybe multiple at some point throughout his career, but it's not going to be this year. Patrick Mahomes has done almost improbable things this season. I remember people have already kind of forgotten about this, that before the season started, people were doubting Patrick Mahomes. People were saying that now that Tyreek Hill, he left in Miami, Mahomes is going to get exposed as the fraud that he is. And now here we are in another AFC Championship game, the 5th consecutive in a row at home. You want to call it Burrowhead? Well, I'll call it Arrowhead because that's what it truly is. Patrick Mahomes, he has done everything right this season, and I expect that to continue. He's become a better quarterback this season. This offense is just as well-oiled as it was last season. And obviously, the Bengals won last season. But the difference is that this team is not so one-centric on one guy. Mahomes really spreads the ball around. And I think that's where this team has gotten so much better. But for me, the key matchup here is obviously the Bengals offense versus Kansas City's defense, because that's obviously the weakness of this team. It's always been the weakness of the Kansas City Chiefs. They don't have a very strong defense. I mean, it's all right. It can get the job done, but it's nothing too crazy. You need to rely on Mahomes to bail you out a couple times. I expect Kansas City to make a few big plays on defense. I expect that they have been using this Burrowhead, whatever conversation as fuel. And I expect them to come out with a chip on their shoulder. It's not often when you can make 5 consecutive AFC Championship games and you can come on to that game with not only a chip on your shoulder, but you can honestly feel like maybe you're the underdog. At home, the way the media is painting this game out to be, that they're the underdog right now.
Mahomes is
a little hobbled. I mean, even though they're at home, people are saying, everyone I see is picking the Bengals. Everyone. The Chiefs can feel like the underdogs, and that's scary. That's a scary narrative to have, because I think this Chiefs team, they are motivated, they are prepared, and they are going to perform and beat this Bengals team on Sunday. I think it's not even as much of a tactical battle between anything like that. I think that these teams are so evenly matched in a way. They both have very similar strong suits and also very similar weak points. And that's why these teams are going to battle it out in a high-power, high-scoring offensive game. And whoever has the ball last will win the game. This is going to be one of those games where whoever has the ball last is going to win the game. I mean, look, the game could be tied. Mahomes or Burrow gets the ball with 4 seconds left on their own 20-yard line. They're going to find a way to score. That's what these types of games come down to. So for me, Mahomes finds a way to get it done. And look, I'm picking the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, there ain't no doubt about it. I mean, give me Patrick Mahomes in this moment.
There should be a doubt about it.
He's going to find a way to get it done. I think, there's not even much. I can't really even pinpoint a specific instance where it's like, this is the reason why this team is going to win. It's more just like these two teams are so good and they match up so evenly well against each other. Their strong suits are their strong suits, and vice versa. Their weak points are their weak points. It's going to come down to who you trust more. You trust Joe Burrow more than Patrick Mahomes, and I trust Patrick Mahomes more than Joe Burrow. That's what this game comes down to. There's a reason you pick the Bengals and I pick the Chiefs, and that's why. Because these two teams are so evenly matched, I think the only reason you pick one team or the other is because you have belief in Joe Burrow or you have belief in Patrick Mahomes. That's just my opinion.
And I can agree with that. But I can also back it up a little bit more with just the fact that I think the Bengals have proven that they are better better almost in every single stat than the Chiefs. They have a better receiving core. The only thing that offensively the Chiefs have on the Bengals is that they have one of the greatest tight ends ever. But that receiving core of Higgins and Jamar Chase is elite. And we can't even talk about the running game the Bengals pose. They can run the ball. I mean, and that's something the Chiefs cannot really do. They can kind of do it.
Pacheco has, but I mean, let's not sleep on Pacheco.
Look, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's not, the worst, but it's not the Bengals. I mean, we saw what Mixon
I think Joe Mixon is great. I think he's great.
Joe Mixon was running a party over there in Buffalo, and this is what he does. He's a big game player. We saw him get a touchdown pass in a Super Bowl. This guy is big time, and this is what this team is. And I think this Bengals defense is super underrated. I mean,
I agree with that. It's underrated.
When they need to make a stop, they can make a stop, and when they need a turnover, they can make a turnover. And that's what, no matter what, I'll pass it off to you in a second. That's what it always comes down to. When it's elite quarterbacks, it's who's going to make a mistake. And if you look at these two, who do you think is more prone to make a mistake? That's Patrick Mahomes. He's the more prone person to make a mistake out of all, because Joe Burrow is better at reading defenses. He can read a defense better than Patrick Mahomes. But Patrick Mahomes has a better arm, and he can make that spectacular play. But that also puts him in danger of making that fateful pick, as we saw in the last AFC, where he, arguably that wasn't his fault. It bounced off Tyreek's hands into a Bengals player. But stuff like that is where these games get flipped on their head. And that's what I think it's going to come down to a mistake from the Chiefs. And it could be, either an interception, it could be a fumble, it could be one of those things, but that's what I'm counting this on, because it's going to be a very close game. I think it's going to be, poetically, I think it's going to be 27-24, another 27-24 games for the Bengals, but I could see this one going to overtime like it did last year. So I'll pass it back to you because I know you had something to say.
Look, obviously, like we both have said, this game is so razor fine margins. And look, if we're even going to look back to the regular season matchup this season between these two teams, it came down to one mistake. Travis Kelce fumbled the ball. Bengals ultimately went on to get a field goal from that drive. Off of that, they ended up winning by a field goal. That was the deciding field goal off of a Travis Kelce fumble in the second half. That is how razor fine margins that game was. And that's how it goes to show what this game is going to be like. Even if Patrick Mahomes isn't the guy to make the mistake, or Joe Burrow isn't the guy to make the mistake, it's the whole team. Mixon, he fumbles, or T. Higgins, the ball bounces off of his hands, and then, that's intercepted. I mean, that's not Joe Burrow's fault, but he's going to get that interception on his stat column. That's how razor fine margins this game is. But I mean, look, you were saying that you was mainly looking at position groups by player names. Like, okay, I'll give you the fact that just on paper by name, that Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver room is better than this Kansas City one. I mean, nobody's debating that. I'm not saying that. But what I will say is by name, by position, sure, Cincinnati might have a better offense. But you look at the statistics. Cincinnati is number 1 in points per game, number 1 in yards per game, number 1 in points per play, number 1 in yards per play. I mean, number 2 in third down conversion, number 2 in fourth down conversion, number 2 in red zone scoring percentage. I mean, and number 1, 3 points. They average 3.6 touchdowns per game, number 1 in the NFL. This is, by every statistic, pretty much the best offense in the NFL. And that's because of one man, because of Patrick Mahomes. So by personnel group, yes. Cincinnati is Like, Jamar Chase would be the best receiver on Kansas City by a
Yeah,
wide
but
margin.
I get what you're saying. Those are valid stats. I get what you're saying, but I think when it comes down to big games, you trust your big game players. Yes, they statistically have it, but because they're able to somehow stitch an offense with a couple of guys, not they don't have one top 10 receiver. I mean, and that's not
Unless you
to say, oh,
count Kelsey.
yeah,
He's
unless
not
you
a
count Kelsey.
receiver,
He
but
is somewhat type of receiver,
somewhat
but
a
if we're
receiver, yeah.
talking about their
Pure
strictly
receiver.
the receivers, and I think a lot of that also does come down to they have Travis Kelsey because he carries a lot of this
He
offense.
does. He
But
gets a lot of targets.
when what we're just talking about big game, you need a big game player. The Bengals have more of those guys. They have more of those guys to step up in the big. Other than really, the Chiefs only have Kelsey, and we saw I mean, Kelsey's not human. He fumbles the ball,
That
and
was the one.
I think
He's the guy who made the mistake.
he's the guy that made the mistake, and he's the best guy on that offense. The Bengals have a far more people they can trust in that big moment that are willing to take it. I mean, the guy that we all know we talk about is Jamar Chase, and yes, statistically the Chiefs have a better offense, but when it comes to big games and the money's on the line, everything's pushed to the middle of the table. Give me those guys. I'll take those names in the big moments.
And look, I'm not gonna fault you for making that or going that way. I mean, look, by personnel group, by name, I mean, I would say arguably that the top two receivers for the Bengals would be 1 and 2 on
They
the
would be
Chiefs as well.
ones. They would be
Yeah,
ones.
they would both be ones on the Chiefs. So, I mean, they're definitely better in that sense. But I think Andy Reid, he's got something cooked up here. I think, look, I mean, there's a reason why
Fourth time's the charm, Andy Reid.
there's a reason why I'm seeing all 1s and 2s for the Kansas City offense. And even though they don't have that big guy outside of Travis Kelsey, and that's because of Andy Reid. And we've seen him get outcoached in the past. I'm not acting like it's impossible. And we potentially saw him get outcoached last AFC Championship game by Zach Taylor. That's why it makes it so much more unlikely that happens again. I just can't see these again.
It's happened 3 times, but
I'm talking about in the AFC Championship game.
yeah, but they played multiple times. Andy Reid's had time to
No, but I'm talking. Of course. I mean,
if you're strictly talking about AFC, but yes, yeah.
I'm talking about in this moment in the AFC Championship game. Last year, obviously, we were sitting in the same position with these same two teams. I don't see Andy Reid basically letting Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow walk all over him again. I mean, make him look like a fool, make him look like a clown. I can't. If Kansas City loses this game, you could say that they don't that they're mini whatever. Like people are okay. This is a debate going around. I'm not going to get too off traffic here. Exactly. People are saying that this Kansas City current last 5 years.
It was a very good dynasty.
Is a dynasty
of 1 year.
A dynasty that only won 1 Super Bowl, but they've made 5 consecutive AFC Championship games and things of that nature. I think if they lose this game, that we might even be on here next week talking about this. That this Kansas City dynasty, if you want to call it that, is fraudulent.
I wouldn't call it a dynasty. They would have to. Well, it depends what people perceive as a dynasty. I mean, in any sport, you would think a dynasty is that like within a span of, let's say, I'll give you a span of 5 years, you win at least two championships and maybe make 3 Super Bowls. You have
in the mix.
You have to be in the mix constantly.
This would be 1 out of 5. I mean,
and it's hard to do that with in the era that Brady did what he did, because it's kind of made everybody like, oh, if you don't do what the Patriots did, then you're not a dynasty. No, that's not what the Chiefs have to do. But they can't underperform in these games like they have been. I mean, yeah, they've made it 5 consecutive times, but they've only broken through 1 time. And won it all. They made a Super Bowl twice, but they've only broken through to win it 1 time. And the next time they
were on the verge of losing that game too. I mean,
yeah, it took a monumentous comeback, and when they made the Super Bowl again, they got absolutely blown out the water,
and they haven't been back since.
Annihilated, and they haven't been back yet because they blew a lead against this same Bengals team. And who's to say? I mean, the Bengals made it very hard on themselves last season. I don't think they're going to make it that hard on themselves this season. This is going to be more of a kind of a heavyweight boxing match in a way that it's going to be trading blows constantly. And it's going to come down to the wire.
That's why that's why I think this game is going to come down to who gets the ball last. I mean, it's very similar to the the Bills Chiefs matchup in the divisional round last year.
Who got the ball first?
Mahomes got the ball last, and he was able to get the ball in to Tyreek Hill. They get the field goal to tie the game, and then in overtime, Mahomes gets the ball first and only time they score. Game over. But they're only in that position because Mahomes got the ball last, and he pulled the rabbit out of the hat and made it happen. This game is literally Tyson versus Fury, whatever, the biggest two names.
Tyson versus Fury.
They were talking to the biggest heavyweights of all time, whoever, Muhammad Ali and fucking Frazier, whatever, you know what I mean?
Frazier, Ali. Yeah, this is definitely up there, and I mean these are still two fairly young men. I mean Patrick Mahomes is the oldest quarterback left, but he's 27. I mean he's still.
This ain't the last time we're seeing this matchup.
Yeah, this won't be the last time.
Just look, for everyone watching, I'm letting you know right now, this is not the last time we're going to see this matchup in the playoffs. Or you know, what I mean? It ain't for sure. It ain't going to be. And this is the new Brady Manning, I think you could say.
People were saying that about Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, but yeah, I mean,
I wasn't saying that.
Yeah, people were saying that about closing out. Like Joe Burrow said, I hope y'all they sent those refunds out. Unfortunately, there will be no neutral grounds. This is taking place in Burrowhead, and we're here for it. We cannot wait. I cannot wait to watch this game. I'm going to be watching it with my friend Xavier, but I think that might be wrapping it up. Yeah, my score prediction was another 24-27. I think that's a bit poetic, for these teams.
I don't think I said my score. Maybe I did.
I don't think you did. No.
I would say, like I said, it's going to come down to who gets the ball last. So I'm gonna say 30-27.
30-27. Okay. I mean,
I think it's gonna be a definitely more high scoring game than the NFC Championship game. And like I said, I think this game is gonna be 27-27. Mahomes gets the ball last with about minute 30 left. Drives him down the field, kicks that game-winning field goal.
You can't even say it with a straight face because it's just
because I'm already excited to see it. I'm ready for it to happen.
Absolutely not. This is gonna be a 49ers Bengals Super Bowl. Fans get ready. That's already a pretty good Super Bowl matchup.
It's a pretty good matchup, but I mean, I don't think to be honest, that's kind of. I don't think that's the matchup the NFL wants to see, to be honest.
Why? Who cares about what the NFL wants?
The NFL, bro. The NFL cares.
Oh my!
I think the NFL wants to see Kansas City in the Super Bowl.
I don't think they want to see Kansas City in the Super Bowl. The fraudulent, dynasty, whatever. But I think that wraps it up. We don't want to drag on for too long. We were able to keep it, about hopefully under 50 minutes. But do want to thank everybody for tuning into the first episode on Shoot It Straight 2. We wanted to make things different for you guys, differentiate, because it's hard to, if you're a fan of European football, you don't really tend to care about American sports. So we decided to split it off. We'll be keeping this channel will be mostly for, NFL. We're going to get into the NBA possibly next week. I mean, we're going to get into it very soon. All-Star games coming up and a little bit of boxing and a bit of UFC. Just have a bit of that American experience because at the end of the day, we're American. We love our American sports. We can't get enough of it, but that's what this channel is for. And we'll be also, like the other one, reporting news, transfer, everything. Trades.
It's pretty much. This is
going to be the same thing, just
everything American sports. Exactly. It's just everything American sports. So, expect to see NBA trade deadline, NFL trades, NFL free agency, NFL coaching hires. You can expect to see all of that on the channel. And then also expect to see, the heated debates that are coming because, I mean, look, just like we were just hinted about, I mean, next week, if Cincinnati doesn't end up winning this game, I already know we're going to be debating, is the Kansas City Chiefs dynasty fraudulent? I mean, it's already on there.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just have to see in time. I mean, it's what we do it for. So,
just to reiterate what you said, just wanted to thank everyone for coming and checking out Shoot It Straight 2, the second channel. In the description box down below, you can see the link to the original Shoot It Straight channel. Not the original, but the main one, whatever you want to call it.
OG one.
The OG one, yeah. And you can, subscribe to the channel to Shoot It Straight 2. Drop a like on this video, and I don't
start
know.
from scratch for this one. So I mean, we can't really thank no subs yet, but
Yeah, we can't thank the subs yet, but we thank you.
next
But what we
episode
can do,
we have
we can thank everyone who watches the video. You know, maybe you haven't subbed yet, but we thank you for watching the video. And just stay tuned in because we got a lot of content coming soon on this channel.
Absolutely, man.
So, well, thank you all for checking out this episode 1 of Shoot It Straight 2, All American Sports, and we'll hope to see y'all back next time for episode 2. Don't be surprised if we get maybe a mini clip episode, or not an episode, but a mini clip in there. You know, who knows? But stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss an upload. And without further ado, I'm your co-host Zach.
I'm your co-host G.
And we will see y'all next time for episode 2. Peace.